In today's noisy and fast-paced world, there's a silent battle we are all fighting. It's the battle against constant distraction, an invisible foe slowly eroding our capacity for deep focus. Welcome to a profound life lesson, where we'll explore how to rescue our severely distracted minds. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a global epidemic reshaping how we think, work, and then live. We're not just talking about how to focus better, but delving into why we've become so unfocused in the first place. And more importantly, we'll seek practical solutions to reset our minds, restore our attention, and unlock our true potential. In recent years, what truly shocks me is the escalating intensity and damage of distraction. Before, I could easily spot individuals who couldn't focus for more than 5 minutes. But recently, conducting small, informal tests with younger individuals, I've seen something far more disheartening. What used to be 5 minutes of focus has now dwindled to perhaps 50 seconds, sometimes even less. This might sound bleak, but these are my personal observations within my own circle. They don't represent the entire population, yet the results are shocking enough to make me question our collective future. How can someone struggle to maintain focus for even a single minute? For instance, when I hand someone a document to read, I meticulously observe their approach. Initially, they might appear focused, but after merely 20 to 30 seconds, telltale signs of distraction begin to surface. Their attention drifts away from the paper. They start glancing around, fidgeting with their hands, tapping their feet restlessly. They desperately seek a small dose of distraction, a momentary escape to feel comfortable again, utterly unable to sustain focus. This realization truly astounds me. I'm not asserting that everyone exhibits this behavior, but my overwhelming emotion is one of shock upon witnessing it. A single minute is an incredibly brief span of time, and if they lose focus even when consciously aware they are being tested for their attention span, then, in voluntary situations, when no one is supervising, how much worse could it be? For example, when you're writing content or working on a project, how many times do you instinctively reach for your phone to check something? Within a single minute, you might type a few lines, only to check your phone again. Type a few more lines, then check your phone once more. In just 1 minute, you could pick up your phone 2 or 3 times. This implies that you might only truly focus for a mere few tens of seconds before succumbing to distraction. I observe this phenomenon quite frequently. Just observe your colleagues. Except during intense deadline periods, when they're pushed to their absolute limits. In normal day-to-day work, they inevitably fall prey to distraction. They cannot fully concentrate, unable to unleash their full potential. They can't transform into a focus monster. They're constantly pulled away by distractions. This is a somber reality we are all witnessing. It's disheartening, but many adults nowadays exhibit shorter attention spans than children. Observe children studying. They often manage 20-30 minutes of focused concentration to solve a math problem. Yet, many adults struggle to achieve the same level of sustained attention. You can verify my observations through simple, everyday scrutiny. I frequently engage in such observations. For instance, I'll be at a coffee shop, observing someone powering up their laptop, preparing to work. They might spend 20-30 minutes engrossed in their phone, before finally commencing their actual work. However, once they do begin, with a mere 2 or 3 minutes later, they're back on their phone. I apologize for my intrusive curiosity, which might seem ill-mannered, but I can't help but pique. And what I often see is them texting, watching short videos, browsing stories, or commenting on something mundane. The vast majority of these activities are insignificant, not particularly important. I sincerely apologize to those individuals, but I confess, I did sneak a look. Hopefully, with my small sphere of influence, I can create content that helps rescue these severely distracted brains. In this digital age, where addiction to distraction has become widely accepted and normalized, I hope we can collectively do something to reverse this trend. Before diving into solutions to restore our focus, we must first understand the root causes. How can we reset our brains to their most optimal and focused state? How can we stop wasting our precious time on trivial, unimportant things? Indeed, there are numerous causes contributing to our profound lack of focus. However, for now, I will highlight two primary reasons I've observed in everyday life. The first is information overload. This deluge of information inevitably cripples your ability to concentrate. In essence, if you keep the floodgates open to an excessive number of information sources simultaneously, sustained focus becomes nearly impossible. Consider this scenario: you're seated at your computer, engaged in some office work. The Word or Excel document on your screen represents one type of information. But concurrently, within your web browser, you have Netflix open. That's an entirely new stream of data competing for your attention. Then, you've also opened several news websites, another fresh source of information demanding your focus. Perhaps you've also launched a few social media platforms or chat groups. Yet more avenues for your attention to wander. And perhaps you're also browsing websites for reading comics or manga. Another novel information stream. Right next to your laptop is your phone, brimming with private messaging apps. That too is a fresh burst of information. Short-form video social media platforms also present a constant stream of new information. And so on, a multitude, with a veritable flood of information sources, all open simultaneously. If you're juggling over 10 open information sources at once, how can you possibly avoid distraction? Now, let me paint a picture. Imagine I send you into a forest, into a cave, armed with only a laptop containing Word or Excel, no internet connection, and your sole task is to process some data. I guarantee that working offline like this, you might accomplish in one day what normally takes others a month in their normal, distracted environment. The reason is remarkably simple: you've drastically limited your information sources. Restricting the open information streams will profoundly enhance your focus. Conversely, if the current data flow is overwhelming, you'll easily be pulled in countless directions. You'll instinctively jump from one piece of news to another, from one app to the next, from screen to screen, from tab to tab, and just like that, you're utterly distracted. Remember this crucial point: the first causes an overwhelming number of open information sources. That the second major cause relates to a neurotransmitter you might already be familiar with: dopamine. This is essentially a hormone that makes us feel good, or rewarded, to put it in simple, layman's terms. When you perform a certain action, your brain releases dopamine, and you experience a sense of satisfaction. While this dopamine rush might be mild, if we allow it to be released constantly, we become addicted. This is the fundamental principle behind many addictions. A simple example: why do you check social media so frequently? Every time a notification pings, you feel an inexplicable urge, a craving for something new. Even if the content turns out to be trivial, you still feel compelled to check. Because when you check, your brain releases dopamine, granting you a momentary, fleeting satisfaction. It's not an intense high, but it's potent enough to create an addictive loop. And then, you become restless, unable to resist. Just a few tens of seconds later, you're compelled to pick up your phone again, seeking something new to trigger that same fleeting satisfaction. While the mechanisms of dopamine are far more intricate than my simplified explanation, I still want everyone to grasp its fundamental operational principle. That knowing craving for satisfaction, an internal hunger, can often be traced back to dopamine, and we constantly find ourselves seeking something new to appease that craving. This is precisely why you become addicted to social media and short videos. So, that's the second reason. The two predominant reasons we readily observe in contemporary life are information overload and the dopamine trap. Now, let's dive directly into the solutions. Truthfully, guiding you through this content comes quite naturally to me. I've dedicated many years to researching and understanding this topic. Now, I can not only speak into a microphone, but could just as easily share these insights while sitting under a tree, because I believe this is a matter of profound personal concern in my life. I've witnessed its detrimental effects on far too many people, creating an alarming crisis of focus. It prevents our minds from engaging in deep, meaningful thought, and I've observed its devastating impact across countless lives, which is why I care so deeply about it. Honestly, I haven't looked at any notes while guiding or presenting this so far. All my frustrations, thoughts, and knowledge are deeply ingrained within me, ready to be poured out effortlessly. If I didn't restrain myself, I could probably speak for 8 hours straight on these topics and still not be finished. Alright, let's now transition to discussing the solutions. Earlier, you heard me discuss the first cause: information overload. The first solution, therefore, is to restrict your information sources at all costs. If you have an abundance of options, too many open information sources, your instinct, when boredom strikes, will be to simply switch to another. You're working on Excel, and you'll open YouTube to watch a quick video. But you won't watch for long. After a minute or two, where you'll jump to a comic book site, or perhaps a gossip news page, you won't linger there for long either. Then, you'll inevitably hop over to a messaging app. Your attention won't stick to texting for an extended period. And then, you'll leap to yet another page, and the cycle continues. It becomes a chaotic mess, jumping back and forth, up and down, left and right. Ultimately, you accomplish nothing substantial. You're simply lost in a haze of distraction. Therefore, at all costs, we must restrict the number of open information sources. Many employees dislike having their work computers restricted, unable to access external internet sites. They find it incredibly frustrating. But honestly, viewed from a positive perspective, I appreciate such measures. Because when you're working, you're solely focused on the task at hand, and your efficiency skyrockets. Your work becomes much faster and far more concentrated. So, that for anyone facing such restrictions, like a boss blocking external websites or public Wi-Fi access, I believe that's a good thing, as it nurtures your ability to focus. While it might feel a bit like an uncomfortable control, remember, we're discussing focus, and such measures are beneficial for concentration. However, if you enjoy complete freedom, with your computer, laptop, and phone all being personal devices, then I propose you establish a few personal rules for yourself. Meaning, at any given time, you should only have a maximum of 3 applications open on your computer, and you must practice this discipline. For now, set a strict limit of 3 or 4 open tabs applications when you're working on something. Your goal should be to stick strictly to the number 3. For example, in your web browser, a maximum of 3 tabs. For open applications, a maximum of 3 software programs. This simple rule will help you significantly limit your information intake. You can even employ reminders, such as sticky notes prominently displayed on your screen, reminding yourself, always keep to 3, always keep to 3, always keep to 3. This is at least a starting point, an idea for you to gradually begin practicing. Or, you could even take a physical piece of paper and tape it to the bezel of your monitor. Always keep to 3! Save your severely distracted brain. This is a direct method to limit your currently open information sources. Now, no matter how much you try to jump around, you'll still be confined to those 3 open applications or tabs. This seemingly small step will help you immensely in the long run. Alright, that's the first approach. The second approach is about making the first one sustainable. I know it's incredibly easy to establish this rule or that principle, but the vast majority of you won't actually follow through. Most of you know what's right and what's wrong, yet you'll often fail to do what's good for you. And naturally, there are a myriad of excuses you'll conjure up for not taking action. I understand this perfectly, and I won't delve into that psychological analysis, as I believe you're all too familiar with it. Indeed, some individuals adhere to the philosophy of where there's a will, there's a way, where there isn't, there's an excuse, and they absolutely revel in this particular excuse. They adore this excuse. Easier said than done. How can one possibly maintain it? So, with this second solution, I aim to dismantle your excuses practice gradually. Today, set a clear goal. I will practice the rule of 3, meaning a maximum of 3 applications and 3 tabs in my web browser.